Good evening, buenas noches, and thank you for tuning in. On behalf of all of us at the locally based, independently owned bookstore, Books and Books in Miami, Florida, and in partnership with Politics and Prose and Harvard Bookstore, it's my pleasure to welcome you to a virtual evening with Jill Louise Busby to discuss her collection of essays, Unfollow Me, published by our friends at Bloomsbury Publishing. Jill Louise Busby has worked for years in the nonprofit sector with a focus on diversity and inclusion when she uploaded a short but scathing attack on liberal progressivism and the corporate nonprofit machine. The video went viral and made her a sought after speaker of indulgently honest opinions. She continues to use social media, writing, and film to expose contradictions, challenge performative authenticity, and campaign for accountability. To moderate tonight's conversation, we're also joined by Jason Reynolds, who is an award winning and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Jason's many books include Miles Morales' Spider Man and Look Both Ways, which was a National Book Award finalist. Jason is the 2020-2021 National Ambassador for Young People's Literature and has appeared on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and CBS This Morning. He is also on the faculty at Lesley University for the Writing for Young People MFA program. Throughout this evening's broadcast, you're invited to ask questions by using the Ask a Question feature at the bottom of the screen, and you can order your copy of Unfollow Me from Books and Books, Politics and Prose, or Harvard Bookstore. We appreciate every order and the generous donations from viewers everywhere. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guests to the virtual stage.
Yup, we're here. So look, hi Jill.
Hi, Jason.
Don't act like you don't love me, Jill. Like
Hi, Jason.
So for so for everyone watching, before we get started, I want to say a few things really quickly, just because I think it's important whenever we do these events that we're direct about what it is that we need. So for everybody here who's watching or who came to see Jill and I, or who really came to see Jill as we celebrate her debut collection of essays, I would like to say first and foremost, if you're supporting Jill, support with your dollars. Hit the green tab, buy the book, support our local bookstores, support Books and Books, support P&P. Shout out to the hometown, support Harvard Bookstore. Like, it really is about that. Because if y'all ever want to hear Jill make another book, if y'all want her to continue to work, then we got to make sure that we show and prove with our dollar bills. The love is good, but I also need the love to look like dollar bills. It's important. All right. That being said, if you got a question, put it in the queue in the ask a question box, and we'll get to it in a little bit. I also want to preface this. I know Jill in real life, this is probably going to be a bit of a shit show. I just want to be honest with y'all.
Yeah, a bit. A bit. Well, I'm sorry.
And not only do I know Jill, but we really enjoy talking trash to him.
A little bit. I enjoy it more than he does.
That's a fact.
Because I'm better at it.
Yeah, debatable.
Yeah, okay.
Debatable. My friend, it's good to see you.
It's so good to see you, Jason.
Yeah. How you feel? How are you feeling about this?
I feel good about that. I was scared for a long time, so it's nice to feel good. It's out in the world. It's connecting with people. They're connecting with me. It feels really good.
Yeah. Let me ask you. My first question is a bit of a curveball. I figure we should start right with the curveballs out. How do you feel about having your big face right on the cover of Look, now we're going over cover designs, right?
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Yeah.
The cover should be my mug.
That should be my. Look at it. Have you seen it? I have seen my face more. I wouldn't say more than I cared to. It's that wouldn't be true, but yeah, a lot. That is a selfie. I took that selfie last year. I did not know that it would end up on the cover of this book, or I might have done some things slightly differently, but I'm cool with it. I like that people are taking their picture with it. I feel like, you know what Flat Stanley is? You ever heard of that? Okay. Perfect. So I feel like Flat Stanley. I feel like people are like, yeah, it's me and Jill. And so it's worked out. That's what it is.
You and these people, you know.
It's me. I'm on there. So I have gotten used to it, but I like that people feel like, you know, they're holding it up and I'm there with them. So it works out. But for a second there, I was like, wow, that is your your whole face
Hmm.
that people are holding. Yeah, but we're,
I think it's good. Look, I say it because I'm actually probably a little jealous. You know what I mean? You and I, both,
you're very jealous.
a little bit, a little
You're
bit. I
very
mean,
jealous.
in my dreams, that my face is on this, the whole cover.
One day.
But you
One
got
day.
there before me. All jokes aside, I do want to talk about this brilliant collection of essays that you wrote. I give you a hard time all the time, but really, I'm always inspired and impressed by your chutzpah. I think you have a courage that many of us don't have. And I guess my first question, my second question is it is really difficult to be honest about the fact that we've all created avatars of ourselves. And I guess I want to ask you, what exactly was before we get into how Jill is Black came to be, what exactly was the breaking point when you realized that Jill is Black had to sort of be laid to rest in a certain way, or at least had to be critiqued in a certain way?
I think we believe that the avatar, it may be better than us, so we lead with it, or it's funnier, it's smarter, it's filtered, it looks better than us, or whatever. But it got to a point where I was better than my avatar just because I was a full person who was making mistakes and, saying stuff that I meant, but I was like, man, did we really mean it like this? And it was just my whole ego out there, Jason. Like, it was just my whole, every indulgent thought that I had, every idea that I hadn't checked with somebody else, every perspective that was just my own. And eventually, it just wasn't enjoyable to not be myself anymore. And I think when that started overtaking the enjoyment of pretending to be some best version of myself, then it had to give. But Jill is Black is, that was it. Like, I'd been on the internet playing around for a long time, sliding into people's DMs awkwardly, doing what I do, and that, all kinds of things. But it was finally when I was like, oh, this is the thing. And it took over everything. And I was like, well, how do you maintain that? You maintain that with a limited perspective. And that's not fun for me. I think that this game of like, how honest can I be, has always been my game. And I'm still obviously not done. There are a million things that didn't end up in this book. But yeah, I just got so desperate to be myself that I had no choice. And I will get there again, because I will create probably a new avatar and be like, well, what is this one? So we will see. And I look forward to the next time I get to break that one down too. But, let me
ask you this. Is it possible to be oneself on the internet? Like, is that even a possibility is my question, right? And I don't know the answer. I'm asking earnestly.
I mean, and I don't know that. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. The second we touch it, you're leaving something out to, give it something, to feed it. I think if I'm cognizant of how many likes something gets, I'm probably not going with my most honest self. I don't think that's what it's for either. So I think, if that's not the point of it, then we also don't have to worry that we're not showing up there honestly, because the point of it is just to sell each other things. People, ideas, so then do we have to be honest there? Or can we all get on there and admit that we're not being honest? I think there was a point where we were saying, oh, nothing is real on here. And then we were like, no, I'm being super real on the internet. And so it changes all the time. But I don't think that's what it's for.
What is it for?
I think it's for us to just come up with these versions of ourselves that we feel like we can submit to the public forum, kind of, just like cartoon versions of ourselves that we move around. I don't think that the part is true where we say I'm saying everything to the internet, but I think we're saying a lot. I think we're saying a lot. I just don't think we're saying everything.
I often wonder, I have been in the public eye for too long at this point, and there are moments where, how like Instagram does all the like that weird algorithm stuff where like sometimes everyone will see what you've posted and sometimes no one will see what you've posted. And there have been moments where where I have shared something and, there's like 100 and God knows how many followers. And there's like, oh, this has got 2,000 likes, right? And in this moment, there's something weird that happens. You find yourself like refreshing. I find myself refreshing, right? And I feel so silly because one, I'm a gazillion years old. Two, it doesn't actually matter, right? But it does.
But it does.
There's some, and I often wonder like what that hole is, right? Or what that, like what exactly, if there's a hole, right? But what exactly am I searching? Why do I need this affirmation if I have the other things that I need in my life that are supposed to sort of make me feel fulfilled? And yet I need this. And how much of it is something that is actually happening with me emotionally, and how much of it is something that is happening with me psychologically? And the difference of these two things is that one almost feels what's the experiment with the dog and the bell? You know the experience with, like, the dog.
I do, but I don't know that I know that one by name.
Yeah, but it feels like that. It feels like almost like it's triggers, right? It's
right.
It's a synapse, right? Where it's just happening to me, and I can't stop it because there's some sort of physiologically and psychological addiction, or
right.
You know what I mean?
That's what we say. I'm lonely and bored. Lonely, bored. I like the public. I like to submit myself to the public and see what they have to say about me. I'm sure all the psychology, all the science, other things that I didn't do well in school are at the root of it. But for me, I'm like, I'm bored. I'm sitting somewhere and I don't want to think about my life, what I've paid or haven't paid, who owes me this, the conversation I have with this person that kind of is unsettling. No, I can go and get this very easy sort of recharge to the system. And I want that. And then also I have some hope. If I post something and I like it, then I also go in with some hope that's like, oh, you'll like it too. And when you don't like it, then am I ashamed of the thing that I like? Am I ashamed that I ever thought you would like it? There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening. But I'm also looking to connect. I think that on the internet, we are looking for some kind of connection. We're just mad when we don't get it the way that we want to get it. So, I mean, there's something authentic about saying like, oh, I'm putting this out there. I want to connect with somebody. I want them to see me. I want them to see it. And I want it to resonate. And I want their stuff. But, bored, lonely, other things that end in Y, all kinds of things that we are when we hit that app button. And sometimes I'm just doing it because that's what I do. Like I'm going through the series of things that I do on my phone. Oh, here's my phone, email, this thing, blah, 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 whatever. So I'll find myself there even when I don't mean to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, how did we get here? Well, you're in your series.
Right. It's just a pattern. It's what we do.
It's just a pattern.
It cycles. So speaking of patterns and cycles, does it ever scare you? Not scare you, that's not the right word, but do you ever think about what you were? It's interesting. I'm so fascinated by you, and for so many reasons. All right, so Jill is Black comes out. You create this space where you're critiquing and creating analysis of the world around us. At the beginning, it was race, you know what I mean, and around sort of whiteness and racism and nonsense and all the bullshit that exists in that space, and really doing some really interesting and poignant, while also, incomplete analyses of all these things, right? My question to you is, now, having sort of done some excavation work about who you are and what you are and how you feel, and being honest about those things, do you ever fear that this would become the new cycle? Right. And that like, okay, so with the next book, so like you've done it all in here, right? It's here. And then the next book is sort of like, and it just becomes another one of those, like Jill is honest, right? Now she's honest,
Jill just keeps telling on herself again and again.
Exactly.
And again.
Jill is a tattletale,
Yeah, Jill's a tattletale. Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do, but I worry about that in my real life too. I worry that I believe all the things that I currently think so hard that by the time I'm finished, then I'll be like, how did we get here? Now you got to tell everybody. I mean, I also wanted to win. Some of the transitions that I made were so that I could stay winning. If I was talking dear white people, and then white people were like, wait, hold on, what about this? You're a hypocrite. And this, I was like, oh yes, I am. Okay, dear Black people. And then it was that, and I wanted to win that. It's hard not to want to win on there. And then it was dear me. It was like, well, you can't beat me. You're talking about me. So it was real, but it's also the idea that I'm kind of like I'm getting ahead of the competition. I often say it's like freestyle rapping, I'm like, if it's like, that's what I think of. I never forgot that part. I forgot every other part of the movie, but I never forgot that part. I was like, But if you can get ahead of everybody, then they can't say shit about you. And then what's inside is really, why do I always worry that people are going to say shit about me? Or what is it about me or my persona or whatever that can be easily critiqued? Oh, I'll get ahead of it. And then you'll also think that, you know, I'm smart if I can get ahead of it or whatever, even if it's not true. I mean, there's all kinds of insecurity that's also bringing some of this up. And, you know, it's scary to be yourself. It's just scary to be yourself. And we make it scarier all the time as we get more and more curated. So I think when I get scared to put something on the internet that I mean, you know, that I'm like, but this is what happened, or this is your real life, or this is what you really mean. And now I am scared, and I'm so scared that I'm not doing it. Then I know I'm not being myself. But yeah, I mean, I welcome the challenge of also undoing the part where I write the book, and the book is supposed to be, I welcome it. But yeah, I mean, some of that transition was done so that I could keep being, you know, the winner of the freestyle battle. And I also want to be honest about that. So maybe that's the next book, of, you know, after I cut my album.
Yeah.
Let's become a rapper now. I mean,
why be in the video like,
okay, okay.
All in the video.
I can see it.
I have on Black Lives Matter hoodie, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's what you should
brand. You know what I'm saying? Jason is black.
It's so perfect. I can see it. I can really see it. But I think that that's important. I think that the at least the art that I want to create is to keep undoing myself in public. Yeah. It's not about saying like, oh, I'm there now. It's about saying, I'm going to tell you each step of the way what is going on, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm just going to tell you. That's the part that I'm committed to. What that looks like can get very, very messy. And it can be for a host of all sorts of reasons. As long as I'm telling you what that is, I feel like I'm still contributing something that is valuable to people. Because we keep saying that we're honest, but you know, honest is hard. I mean, that's some of the hardest work. So I don't know how close I'm getting, but I'm still trying.
What was the hardest part when writing the book? I mean, I was fortunate enough to be around you for the beginning stages of this thing. And,
to disagree.
Yeah.
To disagree. I think, you know, it was like, oh, is there enough joy in this book? Because, you know, as we move through, okay, we're mad. Okay, we're sad. Okay, we want joy now. And so I was like, oh, they're going to say you don't have any joy in your book. But to me, I do. I have, you know, really the love story of my family, to me, is the heart of the book. And the joy of being like, oh, we came out of this hard time and now I'm here and I'm so good that I'm worried that I'm too good. To me, that was the joy. But I thought, oh, but joy has to look like a vacation here. Joy has to look like, oh, I'm making my money. I'm doing this. I'm successful. Oh, look where I am. Look who I'm talking to. If that's the joy, then I felt like there wasn't enough of that. And then I felt like I was disagreeing with the current narrative that says, hey, Black woman, like, go pursue your joy at all costs. You know? So I was like, oh, if that's what we're doing, then it's going to be hard to be of the identities and say like, oh, that's not really doing it for me. Am I allowed to say that? And we've really narrowed down a wide field. As we say that we're not a monolith, we've narrowed down a wide field of different like ways of doing this down to like, no, we want the one that wins. We want the superstar. We want the icon. We want the this. And we use all of our energy and attention on this one thing so that we can win it harder, really, than white people, but harder than anybody else. And I was like, well, then I don't know how to go up against that. So I think it was feeling like just by being like, oh, I don't know, maybe this was going against something that was supposed to be for me. You know, and that I also value, that I'm also like, I see how we got here. Can we bring in something else? And also they would call it imposter syndrome. I don't know. Do I get to be the person who says, no, maybe like this instead? Do I have enough? Am I smart enough? Do I have enough degrees? Do I have enough sense to be the one who initiates that conversation? So pushing past that and having self-confidence to say like, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just going to tell you what I think about this.
What I think, yeah.
Right. But that took something.
But especially, I think, because so many people agree with you, right? That I often wonder if so many people agree with you on so many things. Like there's a part in the book that I love. Let me see. There's this one thing that you say right at the very beginning where the young, I don't know if this person is young, but the follower kept leaving the same comment, right? Jill is always black. and she's always on point, never off, right? Which is incorrect, first and foremost. Jill is definitely not always black. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I mean, debatable as they would
debatable,
say. Yeah, debatable.
But to say that you're always on, right, never off,
right?
That would make it really difficult for me to be off, right? And maybe it shouldn't, because it's not my business what people think of me. But the world that we live in with social media, that's the way it works, right? It's like,
right.
So like this idea that you're like, you can disagree, even that is and it shouldn't be, and I almost am scared to say this word because it should not be this way, but even that in this context is a revolutionary act. Right? The idea that like, I'm actually good if you disagree. I'm gonna go ahead and get this off though and say what I want to say. If you disagree, you disagree. If it is what it is, And do you really mean that?
But do I really mean do I really mean that? No, I want people to agree with me. Of course I do. I mean,
do you read your reviews? Do you read your reviews, Jill?
I had to stop. I had to stop because I understood why people were disagreeing with me, right? So I'm always like, no, I actually understand that point and that point and that point. So finally, I was like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. But of course, I want people to agree with me, and not just in an arrogant way, but in a like, oh, do you see this too, kind of way. But I think that's what people wanted from me, right? So I think I also really cared about. When I started this, I made myself all kinds of agreements. Like, Julie, you can never like sell these people out, because if somebody comes to you in earnest and says like, thank you for saying this thing that I can't say, I don't know how to not take that seriously. Like, that's not minor to me. And so I was like, okay, then what do I do with your time and your attention and your energy, and most of all, your trust in that I'm going to keep saying at least the thing that I mean. So I'm going to keep doing that part. That part, I'm like, but you can't say that I'm not saying what I mean, even as it changes. And I think that you still can, even if it's still a limited perspective. I mean it. This is just where I am. But I care about the fact that people have given me some kind of trust to be like, oh no, we're here for you. We're going to support you in that. And I don't ever want to give that up. So I'm also not so mad to be a little bit nervous that I'm always like at least showing up as much of a whole person as I can. That feels important to me. But if you disagree with me, it's going to be hard for me. But it's also important. People disagreed with me and they ended up being right to as far as what I think right now. But there were people who were like, Jill, like, why like this? And I disregarded them, and I won't do that same thing anymore. I'm going to have the conversation. If you feel, and it feels genuine, and they're like, Jill, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and have that conversation. I'm less scared to have it these days than I was when I started.
That's real. I think, it's funny because there's so many people. I mean, gosh, I think that you created perhaps a certain kind of archetype on the internet. And I think there are a lot of, sometimes I scroll and I see people whose names I won't say, and I like these people, some of them, right? And I'm like, damn, you killing it, right? But I'm thinking like, look at Jill 2.0, right? Look at these people. And I guess my question is, in order to do what you did on the internet, in order to do this, which is something that I am attached to, and that I know what it takes to do something like this, I know that requires ego. To make a book, let me say, for all the people listening, listen. Writers believe that they can say something that everybody should read. You ain't got to agree with it, but we believe that I'm gonna say a thing. I'm gonna write a thing down, and this thing is going to be sent out into the world. It's important enough to be sent out into the world, right? But what I also know about you is that when Jill is Black was at its height, and this is insider baseball that I feel fortunate to know that I want to bring to, and we don't have to talk about it in detail, but when Jill is Black was at its height and that ego was pulsing, and you rocking off every day, there were huge opportunities that you turned down, which is actually antithetical to this ego that we're talking about.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about this? And I just think it's fascinating because it almost is like, you always kind of knew this was that this was kind of funky, right?
Well, I mean, so I have this family. that holds me accountable. And it is louder and bigger than any stranger, honestly, any friend. My mother, right in the middle of the height of Jill is Black, and I was so angry because I get to Jill is Black also from the influence of my family. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing you always said. You used to, we would get the white Santa, you would color in the face with the marker, brown. This is what we're here. And she was like, oh no, I don't know. And I was like, no, you better know, because now I'm here in this.
Right.
That she didn't know. And so I had this family that I was like, I don't know, Jill, you seem really unhappy. Or I don't know, is that the deal you want to make? Or I don't know, do you really believe in this? And to me, they will always be the last word. They are my anchor. And I think that people, as long as you have an accountability partner, whoever that is, who just, at this point, it's also, I mean, you're an accountability, I have many accountability partners like, not like this. I think that feels really important, and I don't care where you find that, but somebody that you trust who's going to give you the right feedback about what you're doing, and most importantly, say, you do not seem happy to be doing what you are doing. And I didn't trust the deal. I had come from this like hardcore activist background of like, oh, fuck, all of this is stupid. I couldn't forget that part, but mostly I couldn't forget my mother, who I was also making all of my videos for, previewing all of my videos for first. So what people don't know is, I mean, all of these took like 20 different takes, but first was the one I was, go to my mom, how is this? I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, damn, okay. Okay. I have to go in there. I'm like, all right, she says, I don't make any sense. Okay. And I would run this by her, when I would make a Jill is Black video at that time, at the height that everybody had their doors closed so that I could sit in the kitchen and make these videos, and they were as quiet as they could be. Like it was a group effort, of being like, okay, you're making that, let's do it. But I would run all of that by them, and I still do. My mother is, and my brother, but my mother is the loudest accountability partner I have. She's never going to let me bullshit you. So as long as she's here, that we're doing okay, because she's just not going to allow for it. Because she cares that I'm happy. She cares that I'm being myself, because she likes myself, even when other people don't. And so that has felt really important. And again, that doesn't have to be your family, that doesn't have to be your mother. It can be somebody that you trust and love, who cares about you. And then I would be asking them many questions about what you're doing, because for me, it's not going to be the coins. The coins don't make me happy. What does make me happy is the messages of people being like, I just got the book and I just got to I love all of that. I really do. You DM me, I'm going to write you back. I love that. I love connecting with people, because I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted someone to show up for me that I felt like, are you going to bullshit me? You're not. I want someone to just keep on not bullshitting me. And so I have to be that. And I will also fall. Like I will have an ego-based moment and be like, I'm gonna go ahead and take that. But I'm coming. I'm coming back. And I have a couple bills to pay, so work with me. But other than that, I have a couple. But I'm gonna do the best that I can do.
For sure. Yeah. I'm gonna ask it. And by the way, everybody watching, if you got a question, put it in the Q&A. We have a few, and I'm gonna get to them in a second. But I do want to know. Yes. Oh, it's Pavlovian. That's what I was thinking. Pavlov.
Is that Pavlov?
It's Pavlov. Yeah, Pavlov.
That's hierarchy of needs.
No, that's Maslow. You gotta. You know what? We'll move on. I don't want people to not buy the book because they realize you don't know the difference between Maslow and Pavlov. We'll just keep going. Don't worry about it.
Just keep going.
You're like, is that Shakespeare?
I'm gonna make this face. Some Mozart. Something white.
Exactly, something white.
Something white that I should know.
Yo, so this is a bit of a creative question. This is a bit of a big swing, but I'm gonna ask it. I also know, for all y'all watching, Jill also can cook really well.
There we go.
What? What is it? I just want to tell you.
That's okay. Tell him.
It's a part of who you are.
Jill
is vegan, and which how cliche. And she can cook so well, but she can cook so well. She used to be a cook. It's a whole thing. I won't get into it all. And so my question, I'm not. And by the way, if you're watching this, I'm not lying. This is all not a joke. She definitely used to be an actual cook, and I've eaten a lot of her food. And so my question is, if you could connect cooking to this, I want you to do this. Let's see if the old
I can do it.
All right. If you can, how would you connect what you do in the kitchen to what you've done in this book?
First of all, I have to, because I have to make up for that last little thing that I just did on the dog and the Pavlov. So I got to do it. But now I really got to do it. I would connect it by saying the thing that you said about my cooking is, you were talking shit, of course, because you couldn't just tell me. So this is the first time he's telling me that the food was good. But mostly,
That's true.
yes,
That's
it is.
not
Yes,
true.
it is.
I
Yes,
ate
it is.
all your
Yes,
food.
that's you telling me. I mean,
In
it
so
isn't. It
many
isn't.
ways.
It isn't. It isn't for
All right.
us.
I
Okay.
love your
Okay.
food,
Okay. Okay.
Jill. I love
Okay.
your
Okay.
food,
Thank,
Jill.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so, but what you said was, and also, look at how clean that kitchen is.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. You also said that, and it mattered to me. So I will say that back to you. I was like, yes, thank you for noticing. I think I keep a clean kitchen. Like I am really detail oriented, and I like to know things and get things right, and not ego. Yes, absolutely. But also just like I'm very tidy about my stuff. I don't want to make a mistake, and I don't want to leave it for the next person. So I think that I wanted with this book, I didn't need to be anybody else, but I didn't want to leave them with more questions about me than they arrived at, right? I wanted it to be tidy. I wanted them to feel like, no, I really did the thing that I promised you I was going to do. And now you get to go do the thing that you can do maybe a little more easily. And so, yeah, I don't like to leave a mess for people. I like to be thoughtful, and so I don't think the book is a cleanup job. I think whether you agree with it, like it, love it, hate it, this is as neat as it could get, and it just is what it is. And I'm also really ready for people to say like, no, that book is not for me. And I really mean like, yeah, I can see that. And I also feel that way about my food. I didn't know that you loved it, but like you're either going to love this thing or it's not going to be for you. And I'm really trying to take my ego, especially as this picks up, like as much out of it as possible. I know why you don't like this. Like if you didn't grow up eating this, if this isn't the kind of food that you like, if you like something that's not vegan, then this isn't for you. In this book, try it. But if it's not for you, don't force it.
That's what's up. I was thinking about that question for myself when I was reading your book, and I was like, it almost is like maybe Jill is proving again that perhaps one doesn't have to kill a living thing to make something nourishing and substantive. Just maybe we don't maybe we could hold our own feet to the fire. But we don't have to slaughter each other.
We don't. We
don't have to do that, yo.
I'm gonna eat myself before I eat another edible. So it's I'm gonna go at myself, and I don't have anything to say. Like I'll joke around, and I love to be low key judgmental, sometimes high key, but ultimately, what am I doing? Like who am I to say what you're out here? I don't know. It's fun to talk some shit, but I really don't know. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you're about. I don't know if you mean it, then you mean it. And I mean the stuff that I mean. So who am I to get in here and interrupt what you really mean? Yeah, that part is definitely true. I would rather start with me and have people be like, wow, this is a lot of you. If you just kind of going through, because I would have to start there before I was like, oh, this person is wrong about this, and oh, this person is evil, and this. I don't believe in any of that. So I'm gonna start with me, and hopefully it inspires other people too.
Let's get some questions because I don't want to miss out and people be mad at me. All right, let's see. Here we go. First question is there an audiobook? And if so, is it already out? Or if not, when will it be released?
October 26th. That was the last thing I was doing before joining this conversation today was
Terrible,
recording. Right? Recording that, so I've heard a lot of my own voice today. But yeah, October 26th, it will. I know that the voice is part of the experience. I've been talking a long time, so I am aware, and it is coming. But yeah,
everybody October get 26th. It. I can't wait.
Pre-order now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I can't wait to it because I love you and I love the book. I read it, but there is something about we've had these conversations in intimate spaces, and it's like even talking to you there's something about the pacing of language, right? The way that you pace your language, that is definitely a part of the like, you can't help but lean in a little bit, you know? And so I can't wait to see if you can make, I know you can, but how you make this thing come to life in a different way. So that's what's up. Okay. Is there a such thing as absolute truth in a nonfiction space, or in a nonfiction space? I want to make sure we clarify what this person's asking as you draw back.
Yes.
Is there such thing as absolute truth in a nonfiction space, or is it more of a matter of publishing the narrative in the direction that makes most sense to you as a writer? Which is an interesting question. I repeat it. Is there such a thing as absolute truth when you're writing nonfiction, or is it more of a matter of you pushing the narrative in the direction that makes most sense to you as a person who is a writer? That's a
great question. Yeah, that person probably knows the difference between Maslow and Pavlov. I don't think so. I think there's always going to be some kind of bias. I think that, I went into this book with my own intention. I don't know how to get out of that enough to just write you my absolute honesty. I don't think so. But what I'm not going to do is speak for other people's nonfiction. For me, no. I was definitely trying to shape this into the weapon that I wanted to use, right? Even if that was on myself. But that being said, I really made an honest attempt. So the part that was honest was the attempt. I don't know if the outcome was, but my attempt was honest.
That's what's up. That's a solid answer. Okay, this is Christine.
Here comes Chrissy. We love you.
We love to see both of us about your arrow.
I
know. This is Christine. She says, Jason and Jill, this is everything. Can you both speak to RWC and how writing residencies can help aspiring writers with storytelling, publishing, etc.? Community is so important. That's Christine Platt, who wrote the Afro Minimalist. You all should go and pick it up and buy it. She's a lovely, lovely human. She's also our friend, and she's asking leading questions that are really... So you want to answer the question?
Yeah, we both can. Yeah, there's an essay in this book about a retreat, an artist retreat. And I spent a lot of time worried that people would think that it was Rhode Island. So I was like, how do I do this? But I mean, it is because of this that Rhode Island is so important. So Rhode Island Writers Colony, how Jason and I know each other for real. And then onwards. Yeah, I think what I needed, Rhode Island gave me, which was just like, I don't want somebody to soft talk me. That doesn't work on me. This book isn't a soft talk book. I respond better to like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing it like this? What's happening? What are you waiting for? And I think what Rhode Island gave me, and it gives different people different things, is what are you waiting for? Right. So that's what was answered there, to be different for everybody, but it's a great experience also for everyone. And to just listen to Jason talk at length, more honestly sometimes than you want him to, because you're still trying to live in the fantasy yourself. But yeah, just to get your questions answered and to already live in a space where you've done it. It's like everybody's, you've already done that, right? Like as soon as you get home, you're going to do it. So I think like it already felt done by the time I left. And that was the kind of experience that I needed. So, I mean, it was a beautiful thing. It is not in this book.
It's a
this
gift.
book. Yeah.
I'll say this to you. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I almost didn't let you in.
You did tell me. You told me.
Christine is quickly you got in.
Yeah. You told me. You said I didn't want to have you here. That's
not. Wait.
Something like that. Oh, yeah.
I thought we were talking about honesty.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's dishonest.
That's what we're. No, I don't know that it is.
What happened was, Christine came to me and said Jill wants to come to Rhode Island. And I said, I don't know if we should fill a spot with Jill, because my actual words were, because I don't think Jill needs this, because you had such a huge platform already. And I was trying to make sure that we put people in position to build platforms and to write their books and build their thing. And I didn't know you were trying to write a book. I didn't know. I only knew Jill is Black. And so Christine was like, nah, Jay, like actually it looks a certain way. right, on the internet, but she actually does need community in this moment and in this space. And I think it'll be a good idea to include her in this. And that's how it all happened. And I'm so grateful that I listened to Christine. Shout out to Christine. She loves this kind of stuff. I'm so grateful that I listened to Christine because you were a gift to all of us. And I'm so grateful that, and because once I met you, I realized that you did need community. And that we needed you to be a part of that community, and it became what it is today.
Yeah. You said that too. You said that too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Gosh,
yeah.
Give me some bail. You know what I mean? All right. Let's see. Based on your comment on the versions of ourselves we present on the internet, do you believe that communities built on the internet are or can be authentic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's a difference between like the feed and the DMs, and like there are different rooms even, you know, in this one house. So it's like if I'm putting something in my feed and, you know, I'm trying to like generate interest in myself, then that's one thing. But, you know, when people send you a DM at 2 a.m. and I'm going to answer because I'm awake, then you're going to get a different version of me. I've met a lot of my friends like that, especially in a legal state like Washington. So, you know, I think, you know, sometimes you're getting more of me than you even want. Many of you, 100%. So, you know, if you DM me, then you're getting a more real version of me because that's different than being in the feed. Or sometimes people will connect from the internet, meet in real life. There are authentic things that can spring forth from this. I just think that the idea that you are scrolling and just seeing people's authenticity, no. Do I think you can also see people's attempt at some kind of authenticity? Yeah, and the attempt is universal. So even that is a connection because, like, look at us try to overcome our fear of each other enough to put this out here. That's universal, and it's its own beautiful thing. I just, you know, we don't have to call it something that it's not. To think of it as beautiful, right? We don't have to have these like nice dressy words that make us feel good. It's the attempts. We're all on here attempting something, and that's a beautiful thing.
Word up. All right. Hi, Jill and Jason. What does the drafting process look like when you write? Jill, what was it like? I mean, what was your drafting process like for this?
Okay, so I've mentioned a couple times in different places, so it doesn't matter, but that I gave myself 6 months to get this done because I was worried that anything else I wouldn't tell as much truth, right? So the time was important for me because I was like, if you have a limited amount of time, and I procrastinate, I mean, I have to wait until the final second. So I'm like, if you wait until the final second, edit 6 months, you're going to say some stuff you don't even mean to say that's more honest than you might even want it to be because you just don't have the time to make up anything else. And so that was strategy for me. The drafting is like, I'm so used to talking now and writing myself a script to read that I definitely include, like I'm constantly reading it back to myself. How does this sound? How does this sound? If I say it out loud. But I would write and write and write and write. And then I would have to like wait a couple days and come back and edit and be like, I don't know what you're saying here. And again, legal state. So, you know, that helps. But I would have to come back from it and be like, no, this doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make sense. And I had a great editor. I have a great editor who would be like, what does this mean? And I'd have to be honest with her. I was like, I have no idea what this sentence means at all. And she was like, okay, great. And we would move on. So I think the drafting, it was quick. It was trying to force myself into as much honesty as I could possibly get, because again, that's also a point of this book, not just the words. And then it was going back a couple days and editing and cleaning up. So pretty straightforward answer, but I think that's what I got.
I'm similar. My Sagittarius sister, of course, we would be. I crash it, man. Like, give me 6 months. I got it. And but my reasoning behind that is, my fear is that if I take longer, I would change too much to be consistent. Because I write fiction, right? And so the voice changes too much for me to be consistent. Yeah. And so I just try to get it all down, and then I fix it and take my time to edit and make sure that it's better. I can't say Layman always says he's a mediocre writer and a brilliant rewriter, you know, and I feel like I'm somewhere around it. Not brilliant, but better rewriter. All right, this is a good question. I appreciate, and I'm so glad this person says this and is going to lead off the question this way, because I agree. The person says, I appreciate the meticulousness of your language and the self-criticism. which I do too. I cook as well, and I can see the chef in you. That being said, where are you messy, or rather, where or how are your inhibition? Are you inhibitionless when it comes time to let loose?
Ooh.
She wants basically. This person wants to know all your personal business. Now I'm
I
trying.
know. That's what they're gonna get
She's
too.
like exactly.
I have been personally messy. I am better with myself than I am with other people. Right. I'm like a little bit awkward. And also like embarrassed to be awkward because I'm like like former nerd turned some others. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm always like self-corrected. So I could be messy with other people, and then sometimes it can genuinely take me a second to like remember like, oh right, other people's perspective, because I'm so like in my own process, thinking that it's wrong, but I'm still like, oh right, you. Okay. So I've been messing and trying to get to know other people very well. And I can isolate, as some people might know, and like need a lot of time with myself. So I think my greatest fear is always like, am I seeking out enough of other people's energy? And I'm always trying to get better at that. As far as the messing, I mean, I can get messy romantically. In some of my friends, it has been. It's not lately. It's not. I've learned many a lesson, but it's
Oh
been
my goodness!
romantically. I'm a Sag.
Yeah.
Not that way anymore. But reality television and flirtation. Reality television and flirtation have been the history, and these days just the reality television. I'll watch anything, and I'm messy and I'm indulgent. I love pop culture. I forgive people for bad behavior more easily than I should. All kinds of messy things. Just like, I'm always analyzing myself and having fun with it. But there's all kinds of messy stuff. Like most of the things are messy.
Most of the things
Messy. Yeah, most of the things.
have you seen
But they're
Circle? You
getting
watched The
better.
Circle?
Hell yeah, watch The Circle.
Crazy. We got to talk about.
I watch it all. F Boy Island, The Bachelor. I watch all of it. If you got it, I'll watch it, and I'll love it. I don't even care.
And it's funny because somebody asked, "What reality TV do you watch?" You heard her here, all of it.
All of it. I'll try it. I'll try it, especially if it's dating. I love any dating reality show. That's my favorite. Always has been, hasn't changed. Oof.
Yeah. All right, last cool. Oh no, there's two more questions. We got just enough time, which is good. Because I asked you about cook. Once people found out you can cook, they were like, "Oh, now I got a question. What is the recipe for the book? What meal would you have cooked?"
Oh, you know what? I made a lot of curry for this, and I would always name it to my family like we do a menu. So I went through all the curries: Aisha curry, Steph curry. All the Tim curry.
All
and
curry.
Each week it was just a different curry. So I made a lot of curry. But
Mark
it's
curry.
like Mark, that's a good one. Mark curry. Absolutely. But like, things that are spicy and a little bit salty, but also, still a tad of sweet. I'm like a little bit sweet, but I'm a lot salty. So I think this book is a lot of curry. Oof. Sorry, I just thought about that divorce pending for Adele and okay. But anyway, yeah, a lot of curry. And I snack on a lot of apples, but I'm in the state of Washington. So, as that's not a recipe, but like I gotta have some apples, y'all. Like that's critical. It's critical to my joy. I gotta have it. But yeah, I made a lot of curry.
A lot of curry. All right, next question from the audience, and this is such a good question, close to near and dear to my heart. Would you recommend this for students and young people? And what do you think we could take away from it as young people? And because this person said we, I'm guessing this is a young person, which is awesome.
Great. Yeah, I think it's for young people.
Absolutely.
I think it's especially for young people. Because that's a group that I still feel really close to, because that's when I started being like, do not bullshit me. And it was the first time that I felt conflict in what I was learning, and then also what I was learning in my life. So I think, yeah, if you want an adult
Ish.
to, it's hard to say, um, an adult like person, to be honest about who they are and what their flaws are and what they don't know, and then also a little bit of what this life can look like for some of us, then yeah, I think this is the book. I don't think there's a limit to that. I'm not just writing for one group of people ever. So yeah, I would have loved this book as
Yeah,
a young person. It's almost easier for me to admit that I would have loved it as a young person than now,
yeah,
because one feels arrogant and the other one feels like, no, that's the whole point, is to write to a young version of myself. And I think that that's true. I was definitely in conversation with a younger version of myself that was like, oh, come on. The whole time, like, don't lie to these people.
yeah.
Because she didn't like that. And she was right. I feel more like the young version of myself, the more honest I get. So that would make sense to me that it would be for young people.
And that leads me to my last question, which is a question I ask everybody, right? And it's
Okay.
funny because it's an interesting thing because you actually are already talking about it now. Ask everybody this question, Jill. Every single person that I do any
Okay.
interviews with, look back on your life. Go back, or go all the way back to 10-year-old Jill, 10-year-old Jill Louise Busby. What would you thank her for?
Uh, she. Hmm. Okay. She was bodacious. She liked a lot of attention. She was at a time in her life where the attention was the goal. Class clown, very loud, and she would be made quieter, and less comfortable by life. So I want to thank her for giving me the spirit to remember that, like, this is fun, that there's some fun to be had and some enjoyment of myself. I can get so self-critical that I will stop enjoying myself. And there's a 10-year-old version that's like, oh, but we're so much fun. Why won't you like have fun with this? Like, why so serious? And I appreciate that because I used to be able to look at myself inside out and not take it so seriously. And I'm trying to get back there. I don't want it to seem like doom and gloom to analyze yourself. I want it to be like, can you believe that this is life and this is what we get to do here? And she knew that. And so I appreciate that she knew that at such an early age. And I promise her that I am going to get back there and we'll do more of this together than we're currently doing.
Amazing. Jill, congratulations on your book,
Thank
home.
you.
I love you, and I can't believe we got all the way through this without a single Jason Derulo joke. We didn't.
Can you believe it?
We didn't do a single Jason Derulo.
Okay. I sent you something, but it didn't go through because of the internet. Okay. But it was at the
Right.
start. It wasn't for this part. But like,
No
we
Jason
did. We
Derulo
made
jokes.
it.
We,
We
we
did
did. We
it.
made it. And for everybody watching, please click the green button by the book. I know it's all fun and games, and we get to laugh and joke, and you all get to experience us talking crazy to each other. But the truth of the matter is, we are here. We are here trying to support our bookstores and sell these books for the great Jill Louise Busby, so that her voice can continue to exist in the marketplace. I still think you need a TV show, homie. I'm gonna stick by that. I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
stick by
have
that.
one. And I'm going to have one.
Okay, because your words. I mean, I hear you. You know what I mean. And
Yeah.
let's talk soon, man.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you to our speakers tonight. This conversation was wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and supporting independent bookstores. It's so important, especially right now. And don't forget that you can purchase a copy of Unfollow Me from Books and Books at this link down below, or Politics and
Yes.
Prose, or Harvard Bookstore. And thank you guys so much again
Thank
for this
you.
conversation. And thank you for everyone again coming out.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.